Okay, hello everyone. So today in Quran study, we are going to be discussing Surah 42, which is translated to the Consultation. And then in Arabic, it is pronounced Al. Does anyone want to pronounce it? Because I'm going to butcher it.
Is
No.
it Al-Shura, or Al-Shara?
No,
I don't know
Ash-Shura.
what that line over here
Yeah,
is.
yeah, same. That's why I was like, I'll pronounce.
Ash-Shura.
Okay, I'll show it
Oh,
up.
okay.
Thank you. So today for our study, we are going to begin with Sarah going ahead and giving us 3 of the 99 names of Allah. And then I wanted to take a moment to recite the Fatiha for that young girl Fatima that is struggling with cancer right now. And then we'll go ahead and dive into discussion. And after discussion, Amanda is going to we'll do the hadith of the day. And then Amanda is going to do the meditation for Muslims. And before she begins, she's going to give a brief introduction and how everything will play out. And then we will conclude from there. Okay. So Sarah, the floor is yours.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. I missed you guys all. And I'm so excited to talk about the fourth name of Allah, the fourth name of Allah this session, because it's one of my favorites. But just a quick recap. Last session, we talked about the first three, which is Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Al-Malik. And number 4 is Al-Quddus, which means the most sacred, the most holy, the absolutely pure. I can never go without looking at the moon and using this attribute, because it's holy, light, holy. So when you see the moon, it's just like put your hands up and say Ya Quddus and say your dua. So a little meaning about Al-Quddus. It means the one who is pure from any imperfection and clear from children and adversaries. For Allah is Al-Quddus, so far removed from any imperfection. He has no shortcomings. Evil is not attributed to him. The mere mention of being free from any defects borders on insult, as it implies the possibility of imperfection. He transcends all that we perceive as perfection. It is inconceivable. Another thing is the Quran mentions Ruh al-Qudus, which is the spirit of him, and we know that translates to Angel Gabriel. So Allah purifies through his spirit as well, and that is why they say that Jesus is infallible. He's all purified because he is purified through Ruh al-Qudus. So I thought that was very interesting and beautiful. The fifth name is As-Salim, which is the giver of peace, the embodiment of peace, meaning the one who is free from every imperfection. It is because he is free of any defect that the one who is with him experiences tranquility. For Allah is As-Salim. He is the one who grants peace and security to all his creations. Allah is above and beyond all weaknesses and infliction. He is the source of peace and security for mankind. It is mankind that needs peace and security through him. Breaking away from As-Salim brings disturbance and destruction to oneself. So as Muslims, we know when we greet one another, we say Assalamu alaikum, and that's an attribute through Allah, saying, an attribute through Allah, I wish you peace. I think that's beautiful that, Assalamu alaikum, we say to one another, is also something that is one of his names, Allah's names. The fifth one is Al-Mu'min, which is the infuser of faith. Sorry, go ahead, Zizi.
No, I thought you said 3 already for some reason. Ignore me.
Oh, okay. The third one is Al-Mu'min, which is the infuser of faith. He is the one that gives iman and security. The one who witnessed for himself that no one is God but him. He is the one who sent down messengers and revealed his books as clear proofs. And those are the 3 for tonight.
So I was gonna say that I love the metaphor that you used about like the moon, like whenever you see the moon. And then I also love when you talked about like salam, which means peace. I think for some reason I thought you said 3 of them after the salam, but you were just elaborating on it. But I just love that the names are just so universal, and they all just come down to like just like something so great and powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. And remember, whatever you're praying for, try to attribute it to one of his names. So if you feel like you need peace and you don't feel right inside, say, Ya Rabbi, Ya Salam, Ya Salam, and say whatever you need him to fulfill for you.
Agreed. Agreed. Okay. So I just wanted to go ahead if we could just like take a moment in silence, and then everyone we don't have to say it out loud, but we could just recite the Fatiha for that young girl Fatima who is currently battling with cancer. So let's just take a moment and recite the Fatiha for her. Okay. So, inshallah, Allah eases her pain and helps her family. I just thought that was just such a sad story. But okay. So now diving into the surah. The theme of the surah that I recognize was basically Allah sorry, I'm trying to go to my notes. I typed them all out. Okay. So I think it's just the repetitive theme that I saw is that Allah basically tells us to trust him, to avoid the major sins that we know we're supposed to avoid, having forgiveness in our heart, and obviously having our prayers and like having our routine prayers. So there was a lot of ayahs from here that I did love, but I just wanted to dive in and see what your thoughts were first, and if anyone wants to talk about any ayahs that stuck out to them.
I agree with you, Zizi. I feel like this surah just reiterated the power of Allah and to stay to the right path. And I don't know if because I'm learning the 99 names, but I and I see all his names now in every surah. But I felt like this surah literally at the end of every ayat it mentioned his attributes. Like it ended always with God, the most powerful, the most forgiving, the I have it written here, like 8, 11, and 12. That whole section is just talking about his attributes. He increases and measures the sustenance of whoever he wants. He has knowledge of all things. And then if we go down throughout that whole page, at the end of each ayah, it ends with one of his attributes. I just see it everywhere. And then just to tag along, I thought A13 was beautiful because it just reminds me of how we're all one, no matter what religion we are. My best friend and I always talk about this. She's Christian Orthodox. And in the first ayah, he talks about, he has plainly clarified the religion, which is revealed to you in that which Noah, Abraham, Moses, and Jesus were commanded to follow. So I just feel whether you're Christian and you believe in Jesus, whether you're whatever you are, at the end of the day, we're all one faith because we all were passed down the same message.
One message,
and I
it
truly
says.
believe. Go ahead.
Yeah, it says one message, different laws. So yeah, like yours is mine also says Noah and Prophet Moses, Jesus, everyone, same message. Also, I want to say the surah, I should have said it before. The name consultation came from ayat number 38. If you can see Sarah and you know. The name of the surah came from ayat 38.
Okay, so Sarah, just to back off what you said, I did notice that too, how it mentions Abraham, Moses, and Jesus, and I think that is beautiful because it's basically acknowledging the most significant, you know, like prophets and most significant prophets that are like historical in all these religions and faiths that bring us together. So that I like that you said that, and that you have like a Christian friend and you can resonate with her, because I think it's important, because there is like in our religion especially, it just says that we can come from different faiths and different religions, but there are brothers and sisters in humanity. So I think it's great that we're able to like still translate that, because sometimes I feel like we can get lost in that translation. And then moving on to what Sharman said about ayah number 38, where it says, those who hearken to their Lord and establish regular prayer, who conduct their affairs by mutual consultation, who spend out of what we bestow on them for sustenance. So I have some subnotes on this, but I wanted to know if anyone wants to talk about this ayah or chime in on what their views or thoughts are.
On 38.
Yes.
I don't know. I kind of took it like, which I don't know if this is right or not, but you know how it like basically like how this surah is called the consultation, right? And then it talks about consulting each other about like the like affairs. I don't know, that's how I took it. Like I took it how kind of like a democracy in a way, like that you're supposed to, that our religion, I don't know, like you're supposed to consult each other about, I don't know if I'm explaining this right. Sorry, I have like been out of this group for a while, but like it, how am I trying to explain this? I took it like so like if you go back in time to like when the time of the prophet and shortly after, like right after him, before there was the sections of Islam that came off like Sunni Shia and all of that, they were all kind of together with deciding, like they kind of had a democracy, like if you look into the history of it. So I kind of took that like we're supposed to like work together. I don't know. You can go ahead.
No, I think I understand what you're saying when it says like the affairs of mutual consultation, because when you think of like consulting, like, and you need a consulting for like a business or like for school or what, you're getting advice and other people's like interpretation, and you're learning from it. So I think that's what it says, mutual consultation, like the mutual consultation we have, I guess you would say, with is having one God. I don't know if that's
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying, and kind of how like it's not supposed to be like, you see how like these certain Islamic countries are like very what's the word, like they're not a
dictatorship.
democracy. What's the up? What is it?
Dictatorship.
Yes, dictatorship. And from what I've learned about the history and how things unfolded, like after the time of the prophet, it was supposed to be kind of like a democracy, not exactly, because obviously we have our rules that like you can't change, but like certain things were supposed to be consulted. Like you're like dictatorship is not what Islam is supposed to be about, besides obviously God's true word. But there's certain gray areas and things that come up. You do you know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm making sense.
I do understand what you're saying, because I can read you the subnote I have over here that of the word consultation, and I think it's literally breaking down exactly what you're trying to like decipher.
Yeah, you'll help me out here. Read it. Okay.
So it says, consultation. This is the keyword of the Surah that suggests the ideal way in which a good man should conduct his affairs, so that on the one hand, he may not become too egotistical, and on another, he may not lightly abandon the responsibilities which devolve on him as a personality whose development counts in the sight of Allah. So
Yeah.
I think like I think that like piggybacks off what you're saying, and right before that it talks about like establishing regular prayer, and this is something that like stuck out to me, because in this subnote it talks about about the like prayer. It says people that are ready at all times to hearken to Allah's signs or listen to the admonitions of prophets of Allah and to follow the true path as they understand it, determined by a mutual consultation between those who are entitled to a voice in private domestic affairs. They keep personal contact with Allah by habits of prayer and praise. So to me, I think like when I read this part, because I feel like no matter what, like as humans, we are like sin, we're humans, like there's good and like we go through things where like, you know, we commit sins or whatnot. But the fact that it says like establish regular prayer or keeping like Allah in mind, I just think that goes back to you being reminded. So like in my personal experience, like whenever I stray away or I'm just like in limbo and I'm going back and forth, I always try to keep like God, like the path of God in me. I always try to keep like my prayers or listening to dua or like Quran. I always end up being pulled back.
Yeah.
And like I always thought that like, you know, when I started this journey, I thought that I would like it would be more like of a straight path, but it's like it is a straight like the word of Allah is a straight path, but like the path that I've gone on has speed bumps.
I mean, everybody's does, and kind of to piggyback off what you're saying, so this is kind of interesting. My sister Alicia, she's a lot younger than me. She used to go to Sacred Heart, which is a Catholic school, and obviously they have classes with Catholic, and she got really close with Christians and stuff like that. So she one time asked me, like, why do we have specific prayer times, and why do we pray 5 times a day, and why do we have certain things that we are instructed to say? Whereas, you know, like in Christianity, I'm not sure about Judaism, but they kind of their prayers are more personal, like God, please help me with this struggle, or I want this, or do you know what I mean? They have certain prayers, but they don't have a set time and certain things that they have to say. Whereas we are told in our pillars, you have to pray regularly. And like I just kind of thought about that, and kind of like to go off what you're saying, I feel like the reason why we're prescribed, and I'm going to use the word prescribed, because God literally says, I think in one of the ayahs in the Quran, that he prescribes you prayer because it's kind of a cleansing and a way to pull you back. Because if we were just to pray about what's going on in our lives right now, so like let's say you're going through a hardship and you're like, God, please get me through this, or thank you for this present, or please, whatever you're going through, it's all kind of about you. Whereas these prayers that we're supposed to pray are also worshiping and praising God, and it's repeating. And if you really pay attention to what you're saying and understand the words that you're saying while you're praying, like you're remembering who's in control, you're worshiping, you're like just basically being reminded that this life, what we're living right now, it's not the end, it's not the final thing. I'm sorry if I'm rambling, but I believe that's why we're supposed to pray 5 times a day, to break up our day, to go back to God and to worship him. And basically we're instructed what to say and what to pray, with also saying like our own du'as and what we want in our life, but so we can remember who's really like in charge and who we really belong to, and to praise him for everything that we've been given. I think it's important.
I'm so glad you said that. I want to piggyback off that. And we're so glad to have you back. We missed you, by the way. Welcome back.
Too. I just want to say, okay, go ahead, Sarah. I'll say afterwards. Sarah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to piggyback off you when you said why we pray 5 times. It's a way of purifying ourselves too, and remembering God. That's actually a way of living through one of his attributes, al-Qaddus. It's a purification. So prayer for us purifies our soul. And it's also a form of connecting to our inner spirit. The more we sit and remember God, the more we open our heart to God, to see signs, to feel him, to start connecting to everything, because he's within us everywhere. So that's why we pray, another reason as well. So I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, and I think go ahead, Sharman. I know you wanted to say something, because I
just want to say it's so nice and touchy to hear her, Ali. And you said it yourself, like one of the scholars said, 5 times praying means pulling. Allah is pulling us to him. And repeating and practicing so we don't get lost. Keep going back to Allah. That's why we have to pray 5 times. So nice. Well said.
And I like, I like having those, like the day break. I never looked at it because I noticed that when I am in tune with my prayers, I'm less likely to be doing dumb stuff because it's like literally a clockwork, like when I have to wake up for Fajr, I need to go to bed a little earlier. Then I just like to like kind of start my day and be productive, depending on what time it is. Like now it's literally around like between 6 to 6:30, so it's like a reasonable time to like begin your day, and like not sleep as late and be productive. And then praying like the afternoon and the night prayers, it's just like it kind of makes you take a pause, and it is a form also of meditation, I believe, because with all the chaos that's going on in your world, you're able to like take a step back and like reflect. So I think that, and like, just as hard as it is, like when you need to meditate to like clear your mind, I think that it's another example of like when you're praying like to clear your mind. It takes a lot of like mental work. And Zainab, I think did you want to say something? I see that your hand is raised.
Yeah, actually, and just kind of to that end, that kind of got me thinking of just like, living in a Western nation, living in a Western society, where really we are socialized from early on to really worship at the altar of the eye and to engage in this like, hyper commercialized, hyper consumerist capitalistic society where everything, is about, maximizing utility, and really just it's a very individualistic frame. It's like you worship, like I said, you worship at the altar of the eye. And I think one thing that is really incredible about prayer, and really just the consistency of having it 5 times a day, or even broken up into 3 times a day if some people do that, it is, to your point, really just, I think it's an opportunity to ground us, and to really, it's almost a rejecting that capitalist society that is, forced down our throats from early childhood, and really just allowing us to reclaim our humanity and our collectivist, the collectivist culture that I think exists in most people, and that, the yearning for community, the yearning for, the community, really. That's all.
I love how you said the community and collectivist culture, because I feel like the world right now is becoming a little too selfish.
Mhm.
I think, Zizi, you really, like hit the nail on its head when you said prayer is a form of meditation. And, it does set you on a schedule in which, like those 10 minutes, it's just between you and God,
Mhm.
And it really does force you to kind of hit that pause and restart button, whatever you might be going through, angry, upset, sad, just, like just sitting and then talking to God just calms you down and makes you rethink of, like going back and restarting again, and just looking at it from a different perspective. And that's what made me actually start to pray consistently, that it's not a chore. It's, it's me time. It's me and God time.
Jihan, I love that you mentioned, I'll get to you in just one moment, Rachel. I see that your hand's up. But Jihan, I love that you mentioned that you said it's not a chore, because I think growing up, like whenever my parents would remind me to like pray, you're just like, oh, why do I have to pray? Like it's taking, you don't really understand it until you're able to like understand the words, understand the reason you're doing it, understanding the peace it brings, the meaning behind it. And when I'm connected in that way, I just realize that there's just peace in my life. But then you go through a time where that you could, like, for me, my struggle lately has been mixing up boredom as peace as boredom, because I'm like, I'm so bored, but it's like, that's what peace feels like. But I'm just so accustomed and used to having like drama or toxicity, or when I'm constantly doing or being around people or what, or even me, because like I have to take accountability, and like it's me that's doing whatever I am to like my own soul, my own self, that when I realized God was making my life more peaceful, I was mistaking it with being bored, and I wasn't being patient. Like that was my next test, like being able to be patient to see what was to come next, because that's when God tests your faith. And recently I feel like that's what I've been like consistently failing and like rebuilding, failing and rebuilding. And it's like the last part of where I'm like struggling with. But the fact that I'm being pulled back, to me, is I should look at it as a blessing, because it is difficult, and that's a struggle that I've been dealing with. And Rachel, you can go ahead. I just wanted to say that because that stood out to me.
No, thank you. And thank you everyone for your comments. My name is Rochelle. This is my first time here. I found out about this group yesterday. A lot of what's been said by everyone so far has really resonated with me. And I think we got on the topic of prayer when you mentioned ayah 38.
Mhm.
And I think for the past few minutes, a lot of what has been said, I think, bleeds into the next ayah 39. I'd like to just like read that out loud just so that people know what I'm talking about. It says, "And those who, when an oppressive wrong is done to them, do not surrender, but seek succor." And succor is Succor. I had to look up that word. It means seeking assistance and support in times of hardship and distress, which is like literally exactly what we're talking about right now. And I think just as people were saying their comments, I was like pulling this one little line apart in my head. I'm thinking of like the way it's framed. It's not just like when you're feeling sad or when you're feeling down. It specifically says when an oppressive wrong is done to them. And I think about like, well, why is it calling out that oppression? It can be on an individual level, it can be on a societal level. In my mind, I'm thinking, well, if no wrong is ever done to you, our innate nature is goodness and peace and happiness. And so all of the problems that we deal in our individual and collective humanity stem from different forms of oppression. And so I thought that was really interesting. And I think the fact that it says seek succor, which again means like assistance and aid, specifically relief, rather than, you know, seeking revenge. Like you don't turn to Allah for seeking revenge, you turn to Allah for seeking justice, for seeking ease, for seeking peace, knowing that if you truly do hold on to your faith, that any hardship you go through, it doesn't excuse it or minimize it. Like in front of your Lord, like you are so divine, you are so perfect, you are so precious. But just knowing that there is going to be relief, even if it may not be within your frame of foresight, basically. So that's my 2 cents.
No, thank you for sharing that. And I think that towards the end, the latter, when you were speaking, that takes me back to like the verse Daria, that like with hardship comes ease. And it's difficult for us to understand like our hardship when it's inflicted on us, especially like for those like there's like sometimes I look at things that happen to people, like not even me, like removing myself, like to be like selfless, and I'm like, they don't deserve that happening to them. Like, why is God putting them through that? Like, what did they do wrong, you know? And when I would think of it in that perspective, I just like it angers me, you know, and I try not to be angry, because I don't like, I know that's not the solution, but you really can't help to think, you're like, but why? Like, I don't understand it. So I think like right now I'm in that process where I'm just trying to understand like with grace, and I'm trying to like figure out like there has to be a reason. And I think that's like the struggle that I'm struggling with towards other people that I notice, and then even like towards myself too. I like sometimes think to myself, like like with my study, I'm like, I'm not worthy of this. Like, why am I leading this? Like, why am I don't feel like I'm being accountable. I've like sinned differently. I haven't been at, like, I was so much better before. Like, why am I like this now? And then that's when I just realized, like, the lessons of God is just, it's just so, it's like all of us even here today, it's just like God is like why us? You know what I mean? Like, why are we here? Like, why do we even care to be here? And it's rough, and it's tough, and like that's the struggle that I've been trying to like get through. And I think this Surah, it just like, because when it says like to not be angry, I think that's the most difficult thing for me, like to not be angry.
I think that's really real. And also in the same ayah 39, when it says it says it in brackets, but it says do not surrender in the same sentence. And so I think like that can mean many things in those three words. Do not surrender, like do not surrender to your oppressor, but also do not surrender to your anger, like being able to validate that feeling, because it is something to be angry about, whether it's an injustice happening to you or something that is observed. It's like, do not surrender to what's being done, but like be aware of how you're going about dealing with it. And I think like seeking assistance and relief, ultimately everything comes from Allah, but like we shouldn't just interpret it as like limited to prayer. I think prayer is an essential element and can be very helpful. But you know, I think there's in our community there's a lot of taboo with like psychology, but actually if you like know Islamic history, like a lot of like psychological like breakthroughs have like come from the Islamic world and like pre-modern times. I'm not a historian, so I don't know the details, but I just know that the way we are presented psychology today, not even just as a tool in and of itself, but like even when it is accessible and slightly normalized for people, it's often coming from a Western perspective. And I think that there's just a lot more out there that we can be encouraged to utilize.
I just kind of wanted to quickly say, like, for I don't know, like for me, I feel like like if your life is good, is all good, and everything around you is bliss and peaceful. Well, first of all, I feel like that this world is not heaven. So even if you have everything and nothing's going wrong, like who's really like 110% like happy, it has no flaw, no annoyance, no like small little thing. And also, I don't know, I feel like for me, hardships push you to pray towards God, because if you're just left alone, and it does talk about, and I think it might even be in this surah maybe, but it's throughout the whole Quran how it says like certain people, like people that don't believe in God or that are evil, like God will leave them alone. He won't even give them a hardship or let a hardship befall them, but they're gonna get like God will get them later, basically, or deal with them later, however you want to take it. But if you don't have a hardship in your life ever, um why would you need to pray? Why would you remember to pray? It's actually, to me, it's more of a test when you are blessed with so many things, because you have to also remember God during your blessings.
True.
And not just when you need him and when your hardships. Like there's an ayah in here. I don't know if it's in this surah. Like I'm sorry, I'm like kind of all over the place because I just jumped back into the
Yes, Ali, is
I
ayat
think
44.
36. There's
ayah
one
36.
36 too.
Okay, because
36.
I read it today, but I didn't take notes.
It says basically like this life is just enjoyment. And I agree with you. If Allah doesn't give you hardships, how are you going to return to him? He gives you hardships because he loves you. He wants you to return to him. And 36 says, whatever you have received, it's just a means of enjoyment for this life. But the reward of Allah for the believers and those who trust in their Lord will be better and everlasting. So everything we receive in this life, it is just for enjoyment, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Like I just, yeah,
And
I think
ayat 44 said, and whoever God leaves to stray will have no guide after him. So Allah will not guide them.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And then
who
Zainab,
lives alone.
you had your hand up. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I think one of the things that as the conversation went on, kind of jogged my mind is I I guess in the spaces that I exist in, a common theme that keeps reoccurring is like a feeling of resentment or just generally folks being turned off from faith, from religion, from God as a result specifically because they're like if God is omniscient, if God is omnipotent, if God is all powerful, then why is there so much suffering? Why is there so much pain, so much despair? And I think what's interesting is to your point about the ayah that says do not surrender. It's also, I think, part of the challenge of faith, and part of the jihad of faith is really being able to to continue to push past and find meaning when those types of resentment comes up, because I mean it's a very real resentment, it's a very valid resentment. And I think part of like one of the things I always say is like hate and love are not opposites. Love and indifference are, or hate and I mean, love and indifference are, like, hate isn't the opposite of love. And I think that's one of the like reminders is the reason that we feel so connected to this pain, and the reason why a lot of people feel so um you know adamant in their convictions, or adamant about this resentment they have towards Allah or towards God, is because they care so much about what's going on. It's because of that love of humanity, it's because of that love of divinity. And I just think it's a really beautiful thing to know, and it's a really beautiful, like, when you're aware of this like interconnectedness, I think it allows us to leverage it to really ground ourselves and ground the people around us, instead of like you love the people around you so much, you love your community, your friends, your family, your neighbors. Let's fight harder, try harder, and don't surrender. Fight for them, fight for what you care about. And I don't know, I just think that's something that personally resonated with me.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. And I love the fact that you talked about resentment. And so Anissa, her name is Ale, but I that's her husband's
I'm
name.
on my husband's Zoom.
Yeah, so but her name's Anissa. But when she was mentioning when your life is going good and God basically tests your faith, but you'll have, it's just so wild because like we all have like blessings in our own way, but it's so common for us to look at other people's blessings and we want what they have. And then when a hardship hits us, you are like, why did I complain about what my life was? Because I know that's happened to me, where my faith was tested, my patience was tested, my strength was tested, and then it sucks to even like say, like with me it was more self-inflicted and I failed it because I thought I had gotten to a part where I was like, okay, I'm strong, I've learned so much, I'm so much wiser, and I failed it. And until I could have verbally have said that, I didn't realize like, okay, this is, I'm getting another opportunity, another chance, and when it's like, look, when it's like when something is bestowed upon us and you just don't feel like you do deserve it, and like you're like, but why? I have been doing all these things, what like right, and I've been, you don't know, like that's where that resentment comes from, and that's where that test comes from. And I think that ayah 43 really stood out to me, where it talks about, it says, but indeed if any show patience and forgive, that would truly be an exercise of courageous will and resolution in the conduct of affairs. And I love that ayah because I think patience and forgiveness it can be towards someone else, but it can also be towards yourself, because we need to forgive ourselves as well, because like I've been through phases where I'm angry, or I'm like, you know what, like I worked so hard and I was doing all these things right and it wasn't working for me, so like why should I keep praying, why should I keep doing these things? Obviously, like it's not, there's no point, but that's not true. That's where the test is, and that's where it's like, are you going to be strong enough, or are you going to push through it? And as humans, I think that it's always easier to take the easier route, the more toxic route, but we don't realize that it is a test. and only Allah knows why he tests us the way he does. And it's just an uphill battle, like I said. And for me, that's what I got out of the surah, is that it's an uphill battle and to just keep climbing.
I
I
love that.
love, oh, sorry.
Sorry, I just want to say I love that ayah too. Mine says it a little differently. And I just want to say it because it's also very pretty. It says to exercise patience and forgive the wrong done to one is the proof of genuine determination. So like you said, it's an uphill battle, keep moving forward. And I think when we were talking about resentment and anger, sometimes when you feel an injustice done to us or others around us or our community, it's very easy to get angry and resentful and kind of not start praying anymore and stuff. But I think that's when you need to do it the most. And I literally, that's when I started meditating, actually, when I wanted to get rid of my anger. And I physically imagine it, like the injustice and the hurt, and I take it and I just say it's in God's hands, because he is the ultimate justice. He's the ultimate, who will give anybody who's been served injustice the right. So like literally I physically meditate it, imagine it, and pass it on. And that has helped me.
I was gonna say, I love, Zizi, that you brought up how like sometimes Allah has a plan that we're not aware of, right? And we might be going through a hardship that is clearing the way for us or giving us some lesson that's going to lead us toward an even greater blessing that we thought we had. And there's so much that we just, as humans, we don't know. Like God always has a plan, always has like a divine intelligence that we're not even plugged into. So sometimes these hardships come up and they might be tests, or they might be lessons, or they might be coming in your path to clear something, or like Anissa said, to bring you closer to Allah, so that in the future you might have even more blessings. And it's just such a beautiful thing to keep in mind. And also, I love also what you said, Zizi, about having gratitude. Like there's things in the Quran that say, for whoever is grateful, Allah will multiply their blessings. And when you talked about comparing your hardships to other people, or even comparing your blessings to other people, we're always looking like, what does that person have, or what is that person doing, especially with social media, or look, this person's on vacation, I wish I was on vacation. And the way to kind of stop that comparison is to look at your own blessings, what's good in your life. You can almost always find something, even if it's something small, that you can be grateful for. And that's a way to kind of open your heart to more blessings, and allow like this divine intelligence to go through you.
No,
I just wanna, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah, positive.
Just because of what I kind of want to go with what like Amanda was saying. There are, I don't know if there is an ayah in this surah, but there are ayahs throughout the Quran that always like says like from God, like I know what you know not. Like God knows what we don't know. So like Amanda said, like there could be hardships in our path that we don't see what's on the other side. We don't see the big picture. And there's also an ayah in here just talking about kind of like resentment. And I understand, like we all go through resentment, or like, why me? Why did this happen to me? Or why did this not happen for me, or whatever? And people can be resentful. But ayah number 30, and I don't know how it says it in yours, but basically mine says, whatever misfortune that befalls you is the result of what your own hands have earned, but for many of your mishaps there is forgiveness from God. So I'm not saying everyone deserves every horrible thing that's happened to them, but people like to blame God for bad things when like I'm not saying you deserve it, but just I personally, for me in my life, I don't believe bad things happen to me because God wants bad things for me. I don't believe that. I believe God wants good things for me. I do believe that this life, bad things happen, and you can't blame God. You can't surrender, like how that other ayah says, you can't surrender. You can't surrender to the pain. You can't surrender to the hardship. You cannot. That's when you need to push through and be strong. And there's another ayah in the Quran, I don't know where, but you guys for sure know this one. It's a very famous one, that God does not burden a soul beyond what it can bear. Mm-hmm. So you have to keep pushing, you have to keep fighting, and you can't look at other people's hardships either and wondering, why did this happen to them? What God knows what we know not. You can only look forward and push forward. And also, there's a very authentic hadith from Prophet Muhammad that says, not even a thorn prick on your finger will happen to a person and a sin won't be removed from them, or something, or a blessing won't be towards them. So any hardship that any of us go through, whether it's big or small as a finger prick, God will remove any sin that any of us have done, or if there isn't a sin to remove, bless us for the hardship or pain or whatever it was that we endured, no matter how small or how big it was. So that's the big picture, and that's why, bringing it back to praying 5 times a day, you have to keep worshiping, you have to keep going, because this is not our world. This is not the end. And when you look at everything like that way, I just feel like it's easier. I don't know.
No, I think you're oh, Sarah's on mute. But I think you're right. It's just being graceful and being grateful. And I think that's just like it's being able to like be graceful with yourself when you know, like taking accountability, because I used to be harsh on myself, but being able to be graceful and grateful, you're really really able to like calm your own soul and be open and inviting to like Allah, because then you realize like there's something bigger, and the fact that you're able to trust that entity, is that the word, entity, am I saying it right, or entity? Does anyone
And what do you, I don't know.
let me send it in the chat.
Okay.
I don't know how to like pronounce it. It's an
Entity.
Oh,
entity. Thank you. Like being able to like trust that, I really think that like that is what like allows you to be open to being like knowing that like, okay, my faith, when it's being tested, I'm actually trusting in a higher power, and that is so difficult to do because you can't see, touch, you know what I mean? It's not something that is like in appearance where your senses can, it's well, you can feel it, but that is like, how can you like feel something you can't see, touch, smell? It's just like a whole different like, I don't know if you guys get what I'm saying.
No,
but-
I get it.
It's having faith, even though you can't see the other side. It's having faith.
Yep. Okay, so it is 8:55. So what I'm gonna do is share the hadith of the day. So we're gonna be meeting bi-weekly this month. So on December 15th, the next surah we will discuss, and I'll send reminders and everything, is going to be 43. And it's gonna be the gold adornments. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's al-Zukr, but I'll send reminders and everything, and we'll go over all the ayahs, and it's 89 ayahs, but they're a lot shorter than actually surah number 42. So that will be on the 15th. And then I'm gonna share the hadith of the day, and then Amanda's gonna take the lead. So let me share. So Sharman shared this with us today. And okay, it says Abu Huraira, I know I butchered that, narrated that the messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, said, Allah created 100 mercies, and he placed one mercy among his creation. They show mercy to one another by it. And there are 99 mercies with Allah. That's Sarah. That just reminds me of you. Even if you try to, you cannot imagine the mercy of Allah. Whatever you have done, however far you feel you've come from salvation, know that it is only a dua away. Raise your hands and ask Allah for his mercy. He is the most forgiving, the most merciful. Everything is only because of Allah's mercy. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
I love this. This is a beautiful hadith.
Yeah, that was
Okay, so now I'm gonna let Amanda go ahead and introduce her meditation for Muslims and lead the meditation today.
Yes, thank you so much, Zizi, and thank you to everyone for having me here. I'll just do a quick intro and let you guys know who I am and why I'm here, and then we can meditate together. We're going to meditate for maybe about 10, 15 minutes. So if you know, I know we're probably going to go past, is it 9 in Michigan? I'm in California.
Yeah, okay.
if you need to leave for any reason, feel free to just hop off whenever you need to. So real quick, my name is Amanda Jawad. I am Muslim, grew up in Dearborn, Michigan, used to be a lawyer for 10 years. I had kind of an awakening and realized that that's not what I wanted to do at all. I started meditating about a couple of years ago, and it just really completely changed my life. So now I am a meditation teacher, and I also do like personal coaching. I help guide people through transformations in their lives, people who want to work on themselves, whether it's self-love, meditation. I also can help with manifesting and things like that. So I am teaching a course coming up. We're starting next week called Meditation for Muslims. And the reason I love meditating with groups of Muslims and I love this course is because um, I grew up, when we went to Sunday, I don't know if any of you guys went to Sunday school in Dearborn, but I grew up kind of with this almost like fearful, like feeling of shame and guilt. Like God is always mad at me, like always feeling bad about myself. And when I started, like almost exactly what Sarah was talking about earlier about why she started meditating, I started being able to kind of feel forgiveness for myself and feel like that Allah loves me. And Allah is like, this has come up so many times in this hour here together. Like Allah is so forgiving, and meditation has helped me to feel that love from God. And it's something I talk about in my meditation classes, and it's just really changed my life. And we talk about this in the class, but it's also a really nice complement to prayer when you meditate. Like it's a very similar thing, praying versus meditating, but it's also a little bit different because when you're praying, your mind is more alert, you're speaking, moving, doing the movements, and it is a form of meditation. But also when you meditate silently and quietly, like that's a chance for, all your prayers and all your connection with God to really sink in, and you feel like that peace in your heart. Um, some people say praying is talking to God and meditation is listening. It's when you can start to like quiet down your mind and actually start to pay attention to the signs from God, from Allah, and really feel his presence. So I like to do it in conjunction with prayer. I also feel like sometimes if I do it before I pray, it quiets my mind a little bit so that I'm not getting distracted the whole time that I'm praying. I don't know if you guys have this too, where like you're trying to pray and then you're like, oh wait, what was I saying? Oops, I lost my place. So I love, like, there's all kinds of benefits to meditation that are specific to being Muslim. And so that's what we go over in my course. And it starts next week. If anyone's interested, I'm going to tell you about it now before we meditate, because once we meditate, you guys are going to hopefully be feeling chill and peaceful and just want to go get ready for bed. So if anyone is interested in learning to meditate, just going to put the link in here. But also no pressure. If you just want to reach out to me on Instagram and chat about anything, don't feel like you need to sign up for the course. I would love to connect with you either way. So here is the course info, and also just as a thank you for having me here today, I also am giving anyone who wants to sign up 25% off from this group. So here is the discount code for that. If you do want to sign up, you will get 20% off for using code Quran Study. And yes, I will send it in the group chat to Zizi. And then also, I think I'm on Zizi's Instagram, and you can find me pretty easily, but I'll put my Instagram handle in there too. Yeah, if you have any questions about like meditation, spirituality, manifesting, like please feel free to reach out. Like, you guys are exactly the type of people I love to work with. I love to work with people who are interested in doing this in a way that can really support and complement your Islamic faith. So, okay, if you haven't meditated before, just a few like things to be aware of as we go into this meditation. I'm going to guide you through it, but just know that it's very common when you're meditating for things to come up, and it can be hard sometimes to focus on what I'm saying, and almost everyone thinks that when you meditate, you're supposed to like turn your thoughts off. somehow, as if that's possible. But it's actually impossible. So if thoughts come up, if distractions come up, maybe something in your house, just allow that to happen and like allow your thoughts to kind of float on by. And the goal of meditation is not to judge yourself. So just allow whatever wants to come up, any sensations, any noise that's distracted. You don't have to be like, oh no, I got distracted. Now I'm not receiving the benefits of meditation. You will benefit from, even if you just sit here and think stressful thoughts for 10 minutes, you're still going to get the benefits of meditation just by going inward, closing your eyes, and spending 10 minutes without like stimuli like phone or noise and things like that. So that's really the only rule in meditation, is don't judge yourself and just allow the experience to be whatever it is. Does anyone have any questions before we start?
Sorry, I was lighting my sage, but yeah.
No, oh my God, I love that. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just gonna roll out my yoga mat and get more comfortable.
Yes. No,
Okay.
yeah. If anyone wants to like make any adjustments you need to make, get comfortable. A lot of people think that like when you meditate, your back has to be straight and you have to like sit up, like boot up. But I like to just be super comfortable. And that's like something, if you're interested, we talk about in the course, is like the actual logistics of like, how do you meditate? What time? Where do you sit? How do you do it all? And this was just kind of a super quick overview, but the key is to just be as comfortable as possible and not to judge yourself. And sometimes you might fall asleep too. Anissa can tell you that when I meditate with her, she falls asleep a lot. And that's great. Like it's just your body doing what it needs to do. And if you're feeling a sense of peace and it allows you to fall asleep, don't be like, oh man, I missed the meditation. Like you're still getting a benefit by just allowing your body to do what it needs to do. And if you fall asleep, that just means that you need a little bit of rest today, which is fine. Okay, is everyone all situated? Okay, so let's just start by taking a few deep breaths together. I'll play some relaxing music. Can you guys hear this music? Yep. Okay. I don't know if it'll work with my headphones, but you're muted, Dee.
I was gonna say, do you want to send it to me and then I can play it on YouTube while you talk?
That's okay. When you do that, sometimes it gets complicated. Can you hear it now?
Yeah.
Amanda, what if you take off your headphones? Because you sound kind of muffled. It's not that big of a deal, but I'm just wondering if that would be better.
It probably is. It better now?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I just had my headphones on because there was a lot of noise from
It's
my
okay.
neighbor. I think it's calmed down. All right, so now that we've got logistically settled, we'll start to take some deep breaths here. And also, before we do that, just if you need to shake out any extra energy, if you're feeling like anxious or like, we just had a group discussion, sometimes that brings up like things like, did I say the wrong thing? Or, should I have said this? Just let it go, like shake it out. Let your body just release whatever it needs to release. And then we'll take 3 deep breaths together. Inhaling, holding in that inhale for 3, 2, 1, and releasing. Feel free to just sigh all of your stress out as you exhale. Taking another deep inhale. Holding that inhale. And then releasing. Just let out all of your stress, all of your tension. We'll do one more deep inhale. Make this your deepest inhale yet. Sip in as much air as you can. And release with the biggest sigh of all. Just let your body start to relax. Taking a moment of gratitude to yourself for showing up here today to be connected, not just with Allah, but to all of the other beautiful souls in this group. Moment of gratitude for this community, to Allah for bringing us all together here, and dropping our awareness out of our headspace and down into our hearts. Just bring all of your focus into your heart space. Checking in on the heart. How does our heart feel today? Is it heavy, emotional? Maybe we feel tightness in our chest. Maybe we feel light and free. Whatever it is, just allowing it to be without any judgment, without trying to change or shift it. Just accepting the state of our hearts today. And going even deeper into the deepest level of your heart where your connection with Allah resides. Feeling the peace, knowing that you are always guided, that Allah is never far from you. He is in your heart. Allowing that peace to flow through you. Opening up your heart to feel Allah's love. Knowing that He created you with so much love, so much care. And imagining a white light there in the center of your heart. You know that this is the light of Allah. When you connect to this light, you feel a sense of peace washing over you as this white light expands from your heart and envelops you almost like a cocoon. You are floating in this cocoon of peace and love. You know this light, this love is a light of forgiveness. Just allowing this light to wash over you from your head down to your toes. Forgiving yourself for anything you've been holding on to, any resentments you have toward yourself, any questioning of things you've done or judgments of, I wish I would have done this, or maybe I shouldn't have done this. Just allowing everything to be as it is and accepting that you are never off your path. Everything you do is guided by Allah and His divine, infinite mercy. Just imagining this light of peace, of love, of mercy, entering your body through the top of your head, the crown of your head. Almost like a cracked egg, this light is seeping down over your head, over your face, and as it touches your body, it relaxes your entire body. It relaxes your face, your ears. Relax your jaw. Let your jaw sort of unclench. Relaxing your neck, your shoulder muscles. Let them release and be soft. We hold so much tension in our shoulders, just letting our shoulders relax. Knowing we don't have to hold everything, we can give it to Allah. We can trust Him with everything in our life. We can give Him the burdens that we carry, and just allowing yourself to unload these burdens and feel a sense of lightness. Relaxing your arms, your hands, all the way to your fingertips. Relaxing your chest, your abdomen, your stomach muscles. That's another place we hold tension, just letting your abdomen, your stomach fully relax. Imagine this light clearing out any negativity, any stuckness in your gut. Your gut is a source of wisdom, intuition. Just allowing it to completely soften as this light continues to roll down past your back, over your sacral area, clearing away any energy, any shame, any guilt. We often feel that down near the root of our spine. Letting this light clear this shame, clear any guilt that we've been holding on to. Letting the light cleanse you as it moves down your legs, your kneecaps, your calves. Just fully relaxing your legs, relaxing your feet, relaxing every single toe until you feel this relaxation in your whole body. You are enveloped in light, a peaceful light. And as you connect with this light, you also feel grounded, rooted in the earth beneath you, whether it's on a chair, a couch, your yoga mat. You are supported by the earth. So you can simultaneously feel this light from Allah, this peaceful light, and feel grounded and supported by the earth beneath you in this human experience. Just taking some deep breaths here. And if you have drifted off or forgotten or missed anything I've said, know that that's okay, and just coming back to the breath, taking some deep breaths, feeling relaxed, feeling peaceful, taking a deep breath in, Releasing just a few more breaths as you bathe in this light and preparing to go about your night with a renewed feeling of cleansing, of purification, of closeness to Allah, to all of us here, to our community. We're all here because we have faith, we have trust. We trust that we are being guided on the right path, even when it feels scary, even when we feel like maybe we've stepped off of it. At the end of the day, we trust in God that He will guide us. Just making a commitment to ourselves to remember that trust going forward, to take this peace we feel in this meditation, bring it into our lives and spreading it across the world, because the world needs our peace right now. So with that intention of going forward with our night in peace and harmony, just taking some deep breaths, starting to come back, wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes. Maybe taking a stretch, stretching your neck, and whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. All right, thank you guys so much for being here, for everything that you do when you meet
Oh,
here.
yeah, you put me in sleep, Amanda.
That's why we did it last. Yeah, I hope you guys have such a beautiful night. If anyone has any reflections, feel free to share.
Thank you. That was a very good experience. I'm yawning right now.
What does it mean when you cry?
It's
Yeah,
good. It's
thanks,
good. It's your body
Amanda.
releasing.
That was amazing. I felt like a release. I just feel so light. I felt like I was floating, honestly. And your voice is like a lullaby. Thank you.
Yes.
Of course, of course. And Azizi,
Love
it's so
it.
good to cry. You're just releasing.
Okay.
And if you need any support, just send me a message, send me a DM. But like crying is really good. It's a really good way if your body can release in multiple different ways. Like sometimes people laugh, which is they feel weird doing it, but it's important to release when you connect with that light. Then whatever's not in alignment with that wants to come out of your body, so it can come through even pooping, crying, laughing, anything like that.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
And then you said your sessions are gonna start on the 7th.
Yep, they start, or actually they're supposed to start on next Wednesday, but I think I'm gonna move it to Tuesday nights, so that we can accommodate more people who couldn't make it on Wednesday. So they're gonna start this Tuesday, the 6th. So I will send the links in the group. They're at 8 to 9 p.m. Just like this.
Okay, and is it
There's
gonna
four sessions
okay.
in the class, and then you're also getting access to a full library of guided meditations, similar to the one we just did. So you can listen to them on your own. And I also have like worksheets for every week, journal prompts and things like that.
Okay, great, cool, good to
Yeah.
know.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thanks for the experience.
Yes,
Thank you
Thank
guys
you.
so much for having me.
thanks for like coming, and make sure you send all of that in the group chat. And
Will.
inshallah, I will see you guys in 2 weeks on the 15th.
Inshallah.
Amanda, inshallah, I will see you soon.
Yay. All
Okay.
right.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night.